Good morning. This is Corky Kessler, a principal in the law firm of Deutsch, Levy, and Engel. And I would like to thank Paramax Films and the Majestic Hotel. We have here probably what I consider the most important talk. And what I know is that if you don't have any money to put towards the development process, you're really not going to be very successful, because during the development process, you may want to attach a director during the development phase, a producer, a distribution arm like Tammy there. You may want to add certain people, and they all cost money during the development phase. So I want to start to my far right. This is Tamara Bell, and she's one of the principals in a distribution, sales, and production company named Koan Inc. And then to my right over here is Kate Perotti, and your company is?
Edendale Pictures.
All right, and to my left is Jack Binder, and your company is?
Filmbudget.com and Greentrees Films.
And Gia?
Gia Muresan, my company is called Capital Motion Pictures.
All right. So I want to start out with a question, and whoever wants to start answering it. When you're in the development process, what's the most important thing that you have to concern yourself with?
Are we talking about for a filmmaker?
Yes.
Well, of course, I'm in distribution, so it would make sense to me to speak to the person that's going to have to sell your film in the very end. That, to me, is the most important thing. So it's great to have a story, it's great to have a cast, it's great to have a wonderful director, but if you're not going to be able to sell that movie in the end, if there isn't an audience, you will be stuck in development hell for a very, very long time. So I would recommend to a producer, a filmmaker that's just getting going, talk to someone in distribution. Make sure you're on track with your genre, with your story, with your cast selection, and make sure there's an audience out there. That'd be my guess.
And I have to tell you that when I moderated a women in film panel at Sundance, and Tammy was on the panel, she made that same statement, and a bell went on my head, and I said, that's it. You really want to talk to the end game. You want to talk to a distributor.
Well, I was going to say, you can surround yourself with a lot of people who are going to say, that's an amazing story. Your movie's going to make a ton of money. But it's usually the person that's going to be doing your lighting, or it's going to be your director, or it's going to be your costume person, or even the person that's financing your project. Everybody's going to be saying this is going to make a lot of money. But the truth is, we don't make money unless your film makes money. And so the most truthful answer will be the person that's going to have to make money at the very end of the chain, not the person that's getting paid the minute your budget gets fulfilled.
Kate, although, look, Kate was making a sequel to Raging Bull, and so that's Kate. Do you have something to sort of supplement what Tammy said?
Well, I do agree. I think it's very important to find your audience, is what you're saying, and you distributors, you know the exact audience, what the market, what's out there. It's not that it's always driven by, horror films or comedy or drama. It's just that you do want to know what people are interested in, and that sometimes, there's shifts, and that's why sometimes we see all films on a similar topic come out at the same year, from documentaries to narrative features. You want to be able to see what people want to see and where the eyeballs are going, and that's, I think, what you're exactly right. It's the most important part.
Jack?
Yeah, I agree. I think those are great points. Absolutely, especially in today's market and today's world for film, it's critical that you know what your audience is, know what your market is, and target the film so that you're not setting out to make a film in a genre that's not going to be distributed and not go to the market. So that is critical now more than ever. I agree with that 100%. Now, having said that, and I think it's great advice about get professional advice from either sales agents, distributors, get some feedback from them and not just people in your inner circle to give you that viability. Once you have that, and you have that, I think there are 4 critical main elements toward development and finance. and I'll run through the real quick points and then elaborate if you wish. First of all, I think a great, once you know you're in the right genre, a great screenplay, an amazing screenplay. Not a good screenplay, not an okay screenplay. It's got to be amazing. You know, circulate it to your friends, circulate it to your colleagues, get feedback, rewrite. Don't go out with it until you have an amazing screenplay. That will just kill your project with people reading it. You get one shot with them. Second of all, your team. And financiers are looking for a team. They invest as much in the film as they do the team. You want to surround yourself with strong producers, strong people with experience that know what they're doing. They want to know, investors, people in the business, distributors want to know there's people attached to the film that know actually how to make a film, have done it, and know how to deliver it to the distributor in the end. Next, of course, cast. You just got to have incredible cast. The market is driven by cast. Must have strong cast.
You need cast in the development phase?
To get you out of the development phase. I mean, that's development, is you're getting these elements attached, is getting cast, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's very hard to get cast if you don't have the money to put down for a deposit on the cast. And so,
Absolutely.
So how are you going to avoid that?
Well, the
You can't avoid it.
Yeah.
You need
But look. I believe somewhat of what you're saying, but to me, the development is what you said, the team.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a marketable project, first of all. It's got to be a story that people on your team think is going to resonate.
Absolutely.
Then you want to surround yourself, exactly what you said, with people in the development stage that can move your project forward. I would hold on talent because I don't think talent is that important in the development stage. Certainly.
I disagree.
Well, you're not going to get talent to agree to come on a project.
But I guess you have to have an idea of what your talent's going to be.
Exactly.
If you're talking to me
That's
and you
what
say,
I'm talking
we
about.
haven't really thought of anything, I don't get a clear picture of what you're wanting to do.
But you're not getting talent.
I didn't mean closing a deal with talent. We're in the development process.
Okay, you want to know who some of your talent is. Okay, but in the development phase, when you raise your development budget, whatever that budget is, and it could be $50,000 to $100,000 in the development phase, you want to get people that are coming on that have value. You could bring in a distributor as a consultant. People don't necessarily think about it, but that's great. You could bring in someone like Jack, who can advise on the budgets and how to do the budgets and how to do a lot of things. You want to bring in a producer who's got some value. You want to bring in casting, a good director who's going to charge you during the development phase to help in casting. And you want to think about, do you bring the director in during the development? Can you find one? But as long as you continue to bring these people into your team, you're going to build a strong team. I think talent is something that you have to have an idea of, but that's the extent.
I will say, especially in Europe, in the development stage, we do have a director. It's not a theory; it's what happened in real world. Because a director will have an input in the cast. He
During
will
the development phase.
Yeah, in the development phase, usually we need to have a director, and they like to have an advice on the script as well. I have 2 projects in development, and both directors want to do a pass on the script, and we can't avoid that, and we need to pay them to do that. So, and also a director will give to a distributor an idea what kind of film we are doing, because it could be same script with 2 different directors, it's 2 different films. Right. So this is an important. Second, we consider in development that we are in the cast process. For me, the production starts when the film is cast. So before all this cast process, which is very long, it's still development. And we have different mechanisms to raise enough money to continue to develop the film. Could be private equity, but also each state in Europe support producer to develop their films.
Okay. Well, there's a little difference between Europe and the United States. We may not be so blessed to have a director to come on board for our projects. What do you think about that?
Well, I actually do agree with you. I mean, even just because I work in independent films more, and that's usually when you do have your director who is going to have the vision, and that's going to get the rest of your team together. And you might not necessarily have to be paying the director at that time. They're going to have the passion. They could even be the writer-director, as in the case of the two films I'm doing. So that's what's selling our development phase, and that's how we've been able to attach cast and move on to that without paying anyone just yet. And I'm saying that as an independent rather than a larger.
So you can get these people to come on board for free.
Yes, in the development phase.
Wow.
Yes.
I think it's one of the first things we need to do to have an idea of what kind of film we are doing, and this is determined a lot by the director and the producer as well. It's a team, right? They need to interact very strongly in order to make a good film.
And you're not going to get very good cast if you don't know who your director is. I mean, it's essential. You have to have a solid director so that when you're out shopping cast, you know that they're going to be willing to put their reputation in his hands.
But Tammy,
her hands.
someone comes to pitch you. They do it all the time, and they pitch your husband Jill. All right, and you're sitting there and they're pitching it. You find a great idea. You spend some time, I know you sometimes do it without compensation, but you spend some time, and if you like the idea, you like the concept, you will work with the screenwriter, as I've seen you do, to try and make it better. Now you've got something that you think is good. Do you actually tell them to go out and get a director? Do you recommend directors? Do you encourage them to get them? And
Yeah, we will help advise them. We'll help them get pushed in a certain direction where they're going to have a better chance to get a good cast. I mean, quite often the person pitching you is the person that wants to direct the film. I mean, honestly, first-time filmmakers often want to write, direct, edit, and act in it. And so sometimes we try and pull them back and say, where are your strengths, and let's focus on those, and then get some other key players in your team to do those other roles. But very often, first-time filmmakers want to direct a film, understandably so. So then, in that case, then we're saying this is a first film, then let's reassess your budget, too, and your expectations. Because all too often, we get first-time filmmakers that want to do a $20 million horror movie.
Absolutely. And that's the 2 points I was going to make. One, getting cast before you get a director is putting the horse before the cart. You don't want to tell the director who his cast is. You want the director's clout and opinion on the matter, so you get the director first. And absolutely, to budget, you want to develop your budget in the process and make sure, yes, it's appropriate to the skill level of the people involved and the team. It's appropriate to the market, what the market accepts and the market value for the genre, for the director, for the cast. So like you said, you're not just trying to walk in and say you're going to direct a $20 million film. So you need to have a budget prepared and analyzed, and your cast costs analyzed, and below the line and everything. That's part of the development process.
do we all agree that there's a cost in the development phase?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
it can
it
be
is.
Definitely
it can be kept
and
to
energy.
its minimum with skill. You don't have to just assume that you're going to go out and shell out a lot of money to do it. You're going to be very judicious. But yes, when it comes to the final process of development, once you've put all your plans together and you want to execute, yes, you need money to hold and secure these elements.
So I was told by a lawyer in my firm who does a lot of real estate, and he said the development process is like a building. When you put the foundation into the ground, that's the development process, because that's the beginning process. And he says, and there's a cost to pour the mortar, the brick, to put the foundation in. So he said, why is it any different in the film business? And the people who come to me a lot of times in the development phase say, but I don't have any money to pay. And I tell them, I'm sorry, if your uncle and brothers and cousins are all very big in the industry, then you may be able to get them free. All right, so, and then he says, when you build the building, that's the production.
Absolutely. My father was a builder, and he said the
and
same thing. We
he
talked
said
about it all the time.
sometimes when you don't have enough money, they go out and get what's called a mezzanine loan. In the film industry, that's gap financing. Very similar. And then when the people fill the building, that's the people coming to see your film. So it really is a process along any other business, and runs on business principles. So I don't know any business that you don't have to spend money on.
But in the analogy, the analogy that you're making here, to do a development, to do a building, you have plans put together, you have designs,
Right.
you know where you're going to build, you're going to know your market, where it's going to be, is it going to sell? You have these elements, and as you put these elements together, you're creating value. Once
Right.
you have value of all these elements, makes getting the money to go and execute your plan better, because now you say, I have this director, I have this writer, this screenplay, I have this element, I know it's to the market, I can get this cast. Then you're much more attractive to the money.
Well, usually filmmakers, especially young filmmakers, they need to find a producer, and usually the producer spends some development money. It's what the producer do. They are entrepreneurs. They are business people, so they need to invest some money in order to
Absolutely.
to develop
Absolutely.
the project. So it's I have a situation with young filmmakers who come to us saying we want a $20 million budget film, and I say, are you able to give me a cast at this for 20 million? And I was surprised. On 10 people, one did it. So surprising.
People one did that.
One did that. Yes, he has. He convinced A-list talent to come and play in his film. Exceptional.
Yeah.
But
So he must have a great script.
Well,
He
okay.
has.
In your projects, they're all in the development phase, right?
Right now.
And tell me what you have done so far during the development phase.
All kinds of things. We have two projects with writer-director Nina Menkes, and we have French co-producers, MPM here. And what we have done is spend money on working with the script again to make it more marketable, to go for the European funds. And we have been spending a lot of time and a lot of money in this phase. We also have then German actress Nina Haas attached. She's been attached for 4 years to both projects. But again, she's not marketable enough to, but just some shouldn't say that, but she's not, it's about getting the pieces together, and that's what we are still doing. And we're here actually hopefully getting the rest of our financing.
Wow. So, I guess the final question that I want comments on, we all are in the development phase or hear development projects going on. What's the best advice, starting with Tammy, that you can give to someone who's beginning their first project?
I think we all work in a business, but it's a business based on art. And I think people get very bogged down in the art form of it. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful way. I think it's probably the strongest way of communicating a message. Film, it has incredible power. And so there are many projects that should be done that don't get the funding, that need to be known about, that don't get the funding. But I mean, so I wanted to make sure that that I'm clear that I think that many messages should be told and they don't get the funding. I am on the other end where I need to make a living, our company needs to continue to grow, and so we need to make money. And what I would tell film producers, filmmakers, is to be true to the money. Be honest, and be aware that if someone has put money on you, you have a responsibility to give that money back and more. And all too often, because it's an art form, we kind of feel like we can be loosey-goosey, and maybe we're not quite as regimented and as structured as we need to be. And in the end, that can be a big mess and a big disappointment. If you're a filmmaker, you're not a filmmaker unless you're making films. And you're only going to make films if you're able to make one film and make some money, make another film and make some money. If your dream is to do something that's artistic or something that's a message that isn't an easy sell, maybe you do a couple easy sells first that make some money, that give you some street credibility, that gives you some sort of weight in our industry, and then go on and make your baby, your message, because people will invest in you. They'll know that you can deliver. But number one, be honest. Be honest with your investors, be honest with yourself and with your crew.
That's excellent.
Okay. What do you want to leave as a final message?
You just are so awesome. I don't know how to even go on to that, because it is. Everybody wants to have passion and have art and to get to tell a story, and there's so many stories to tell, but you do have to deliver, like what you said. And it does. There's so many people involved in making a film that everybody does need to be honest and work and make it pay at some point, because there's just so much invested that it becomes unfair if you think that people are just going to give you money for free. That's not a business.
Jack?
My final point would be very much adding to your point. Being financially responsible is key and fundamental, especially in today's world, today's market. It's very important that you have a very good budget prepared by a line producer or a production manager. You wouldn't walk into a bank and just ask for money without a plan. So it needs to be laid out, professionally done. And so it's a roadmap to how you're going to produce the film, what you're going to do with the money, so they can see how they're going to get their money back. So,
I will say get the right team. For me, it's the most important. If you look to films, it's not one person. It's a work between several producers, and each can bring something to the project. And if the team is right, the project will get made. This is.
The final comment I have, which is not too dissimilar, but I want to add a different twist. The advice I have for someone who's really looking for talent, if that talent has a foreign agent or foreign manager, contact the foreign agent or the foreign manager, not the domestic, because the foreign agent and the manager wants to talk to you, because they don't get many calls. And I have an example I don't want to say now, but I got an A-listed talent by talking to a foreign agent. I know occasionally it'll go to the domestic, but my God, the agents in the United States don't necessarily give you the time of day, but the people that are foreign agents and foreign managers, the same talent, they love to talk to you. I thank my panelists, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you,
thank you, Corky. Good to speak with you. Thanks, everybody.